Hi Joe. Big weekend of derbies in the league this weekend. What are the main things you've noticed about these games in particular that maybe makes them different to other games on the calendar? What is it that you see on the pitch that makes them extra special?
Yeah, I think whenever there's a derby or there's an old firm, there's always brings that extra little bit of something, and I think you just feel it. I think it's in the build up to the week, it's the everything that surrounds it, with the media doing press conferences before those games, it looks slightly different. So there's always something that's added edge, and whenever you play your rivals, you want to win. So it always brings that little bit more, little bit more spice to it. So, these games are the exciting ones. And these are the games that are getting more and more often in the league. We're having better and better games now as the seasons go on. So, these better games are coming around a lot more often. So hopefully they'll start to, feel like we're playing more games like this more often instead of just getting it that when you just play your Cities or your Celtics.
You say you always want to win these derbies, but with so many teams close together, bunched up at the top of the table, does this game take on even greater significance than other derbies?
It can do. I don't think it'd feel any different to any of the players. They want to win every single game, and it doesn't matter who we play, we want to win them. You always want to play against the better teams, and you want to beat the better teams. So I think it's just the same. Our mentality has always been the same all the way through. It doesn't matter who we play, we want to go out there and we want to win. So we need to make sure that we've still got that mentality, and we're continuing to try and win every single game, every single week, because we saw last year that, we kind of slipped up elsewhere, and that was our downfall. So we need to make sure that we're looking after that, but still doing what we did really well last year in these head-to-heads.
The last game against Celtic, you obviously shipped 2 late goals.
Yeah.
What are the kind of key lessons you've learned from that, and what are you reminding the players of going into this one?
I've actually been reminding the players of what we've been doing extremely well. Some of the things that we can do that we feel that can really hurt them. We want to obviously lessen the opportunities that they get, and we do that on the whole quite well in these games. But we were our own downfall in that last game. So we've recognised it, we've tried to rectify it, we've tried to work on it and build on those lapses of concentration and, little forced errors. So I've put the players in positions where they're going to be exposed to that a little bit more, and hopefully our training's helped with those scenarios and pieces of things that we needed to do a little bit better. So, we've done what we can do in a short amount of time. Hopefully we can just go out there and prove that we've learnt from it and we've moved on, and hopefully we can show that, we're pushing in the right direction.
Hi Joe, after 12 games, there's only 2 points between the top 4 and 5 between the top 5. Had you expected the league to be this tight, this early?
Yeah, I said that, I think after we played City at Ibrox, I said I don't think that, it's going to be as widespread as what it has been in previous years. You look at Hearts and you look at Hibs that have made the improvements that they've made. We always knew it was going to be a little bit tighter, and it's what the league needed, in all honesty. We needed more teams pushing and having a say on what this league looks like and the title. So, it's all for the greater good for the league. And I think that's why sometimes you've got to look at results, and previously dropped points, a couple of points here and there might have been really detrimental, but I think with people taking points off everyone and it being a lot closer this year, there could be a little bit more leeway, but we still want to make sure that we're doing what we can do, and getting our noses ahead where we can get our noses ahead. So it's going to be a lot tougher this year, but I never for 1 minute didn't think that it was going to be. I always thought that each team was going to improve.
And against some of the top 5, you have draws against Hibs, City and Celtic. So you're getting to small margins there. How are you looking with injuries and suspensions for this weekend?
No, we're all good. Chelsea Cornet's back, so she's trained fully this week, which is a huge boost for us. We know what strengths and capabilities that Chelsea has and brings to our team. She was one of our players of the season last year. She was an absolute standout, so it's a big boost for us to have her back in and around training and in the squad as well. So yeah, we're looking healthy. That healthy that I've got to leave a couple of players out of the squad, which is never nice. So yeah, we're looking better on that front.
And in terms of the players that you're having to rest, got to say, in terms of one person that's really caught the eye because of her performances is Katie Wilkinson.
Yeah.
3 goals last week, 3 assists. But she's not alone. But there seems to be something about her that makes people play to her.
Yeah.
And through her, she seems to lift people around her.
Yeah, she does. She's got that bit of extra quality, and you can see it. She can mix up her game. She can do quite a lot of things. She's excellent in the air. She's excellent at holding the ball up. She's excellent at assisting goals. And I think that's one thing that is the difference with her. She's not just a goal scorer. Her actual goal contributions are really high as well. So I think that's really important and been a real key to how we've been playing. And when, as I say in previous games, if she's not scored, she's definitely assisted. So her goal involvements in each game has been really, really pleasing.
Hi Joe, how are you doing? This week you've seen obviously Celtic playing Chelsea on Wednesday night. Does this bring into focus just the importance of winning the league when you see games like that? Because obviously the passage through the Champions route to get into the group stage is far kinder than what it is if you have to go through the non-Champions route.
Yeah, we had that discussion quite a few months ago, when you see the differences when you're beating these teams at different stages of the year. So, and just monetary value as well. What that can do, getting through one round, and the influx of money that brings into the club and into the team is huge. In that how far apart it is. So the difference in that is massive. So it's a real big thing for you to have that extra impetus to try and win the league and try and get that number 1 spot, because you can see it's been massively different for both teams.
Is it good for Scottish football that Celtic competed? I mean, I think on another night Chelsea might have won a bit more comfortably, but does it project a decent image, do you think, when teams are going up against a quality side like Chelsea will have designs of going and winning that tournament this season?
Absolutely, I think everybody's doing the same thing at this point of the season. You could see how massively rotated that Sonia did with her squad, probably a little bit too much, but when they're playing City on Sunday, they've got to have 2 different eyes, which I'm sure our opponents have to do as well. They've got to do exactly the same thing, so it's tough. It's tough to play those games midweek when you've got another big game coming on the weekend. But yeah, I think it just goes to show you that they're the games that you want to be playing in and putting on a spectacle and having fans come and watch it. And it's great for women's football on a whole, and I'm definitely pleased to see that.
And of course, it should give you, or it should on paper give you an advantage. Celtic obviously the 120 minutes on Sunday against City, and then a really heavy game on Wednesday night, and then back to Stamford Bridge next week. Yeah.
You've got to try and take every advantage that we can. We've not really spoken a lot about their schedule and what they're doing. We're trying to focus on, what we can do this week, because we'd be preparing the exact same no matter if they hadn't have played a game for 2 weeks. So we need to make sure that we're concentrating on us. Yes, we're fully focused on some of their threats and how they can hurt us. It's always been the same thing, but we need to really make sure that we're doubling down on what we can do to punish Celtic, and that would be the same if they'd have had, not gone to extra time and not had a midweek game. So we'd have been doing exactly the same. I think that's really important for us, and the consistency in those messages.
I think there's a theory from observers this term who've watched everyone fairly closely that you may have the best squad in the league, the best team in the league. Are these the games where you've got to go and prove it?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've said, and the players know that themselves. I don't even need to say that, over head-to-heads, we've felt like we've come out on top the majority of the time. The results have not necessarily proved that, but that's down to us. We've got to go out and prove that. If we want to claim that we've got a good squad and we've got the best players and we've got the best squad, then we've got to go out and prove it, essentially. And these are the games where you got to prove it in. So we need to make sure that we're just continuing to grow, continuing to push. We've not settled. We keep going. The players are probably overcritical of themselves at times. It's my job to try and build their confidence back up. So yeah, we've got to keep trying to do the right things. We're in a good place, mentally as well as physically. So we're excited going into Sunday's game.
From your point of view, when Celtic get that experience against a team like Chelsea, is that what you want ultimately for your players to start experiencing, so that it brings them on and develops them?
Yeah, I've spoke about it previously. Our calendars don't really align with the WSL to allow us to play these pre-season fixtures. I'd have loved to have gone down and played Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Aston Villa, whoever you can, for a decent level of opposition in pre-season, because you want to see where you're at before you go into Champions League. But calendars aligning, they don't really do that. We come back really early into August, and they're still on a bit of a break until October, you know, so it's difficult to get that exposure. We obviously got the exposure early in the Champions League against Atletico and Arsenal, but we'd not really played too many games up until then. I think we'd played Dundee, Montrose and Aberdeen away, you know, so it's difficult to get that exposure at the right times, and you want to try and use pre-season as a barometer for that, but it's really difficult to do when you're not matching up the calendars. So, you know, it's hard to try and get that exposure, but when it comes around, you've got to try and take it and use it to as best of your ability as you can.
I was going to ask, domestically, quite often, I mean, you've scored goals for fun in many games this season, but you were talking earlier about, you know, increasing challenging games that you get. How do you manage the balance of you know, being very, very attack-minded, and then when you get a challenge like Celtic, do you have to adapt it significantly?
Yeah, the players are very aware that those games are going to look very different as well. You know, the players have been in this league and have been around this league and around these teams for a long, long time now. So they're very good at being able to adapt and know potentially where they're going to be faced in having a little bit more of a problem out of possession as what they are in possession. So it's good that they've got that awareness, but you know, we'll always try and float with both in training throughout the week. Doesn't matter who we're playing, we'll always pose an out of possession threat, which teams can always cause. You see most teams are able to score against the top teams this year. So it's something that we're always aware of. You do have to double down slightly when you're playing against the teams in and around you. So we have done a little bit more work on that this week, but we've also done, you know, a lot of work on what we can do, because, you know, as Alison mentioned before, when you believe in your squad and you believe in your players, I think it's really important that we try to use their super strengths to our ability as much as possible and try and put them on the back foot.